Hello! Hi! I hope you're liking my little graphic I made for our Innocence project live stream fundraiser. Thanks for joining, whoever is watching. I'll see you. Greg and Mark, hi. It's gonna be a great night of, conversation and a little bit of entertainment because, we want to raise some money for Innocence Project, and I'm going to bring on my co-host in a bit. In case you don't know why I'm doing this, although, police brutality is kind of getting a lot of the spotlight right now, that's not the only issue that, the Black community has to face. There's a lot of issues, a lot, but I wanted to shed some light on another issue that disproportionately affects the Black community, but it doesn't only affect the Black community, okay? But, because I've been, doing a lot of research on wrongful convictions, and it affects men, women, Latinos, whites, all kinds of people, but disproportionately it does affect the Black community, especially Black men. And the Innocence Project, they're a really great organization. They started in 1992, and they just basically, work to free innocent people who have been wrongly convicted. And I've known about, they started in 92, did I say that? 1992. And I've known about them for a while, and now that Instagram lets us do fundraisers and stuff, I thought we could talk a little bit more about the work that they do and hopefully raise some money for them. So that'd be really cool. I can't donate in the fundraiser because I'm hosting it, but I donated earlier today. So yeah, I'm glad to be able to help at least a little bit, and I hope you guys will too. We have some really great people, and I'm gonna bring on my co-host. She's amazing. I'm on the East Coast, and my host with the most is on the West Coast. I rhyme a lot accidentally, but I don't know how I do that, but yeah, so I'm gonna bring her on. Hi! Excited? Oh, hi Kay.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. The Innocence Project does some amazing work. But some of, reading about these cases is like, it's a lot, right?
Yeah. You just realize how, there's so many problems and how messed up, the system is. It's not just, one thing that you can just fix. It's, a bunch of different things. Things can go wrong with the witness testimony or evidence, or corrupt DAs, corrupt detectives.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a lot. So that's why I wanted to talk a little bit about this. Did you get to watch the show at all?
Yeah, I got to watch some of the show. Yeah, just to
Well, we're going to talk about the individual cases in a bit, because right now we're just kind of doing a little intro. But the show that we're talking about, in case you didn't know, there is a show on Netflix called the Innocence Files that focuses on cases that the Innocence Project has worked on. And please watch it. It's a really good show. It's hard to watch. It's just sad, but I feel like people need to watch it because you learn so much. It's something that I was aware that was happening, but I didn't know, I guess, the extent and just how, I just feel people need to watch the show. So
yeah.
So how are you doing right now with have you been protesting lately at all, or?
Yeah, we went out yesterday. I have a daughter that is always dragging me out. She's very active. It's just so inspiring to see. Hey, Jason. It's so inspiring to see these young kids today. So we went to a Juneteenth rally / picnic, and then a little bit later we went to just a rally for Black Lives, kind of Black Lives Matters. But the kids high school organized it. And so it was just like kids and their parents, but they
Okay.
were four teenage, and it was so positive, and it was so cool to just hear them speak at the end and see how they galvanized so many people together. And just, yeah, I texted my sister. My sister has a nonprofit organization called I Matter, and she does a lot with youth serving in the community, and she does a lot homeless, and she does a backpack program. She just does a ton of really cool community. And part of what she does is engage teenagers into helping their community out. And so it's just really cool to see young kids out making a difference. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it gives me some hope because it's hard to have hope right now, but it gives me hope seeing them. So you said it's called what's the organization called? Your friend's organization? I Matter?
Her website is imatteryouth.org.
So imatteryouth.org, look that up. Or, I Matter on Instagram. Go support it, check it out. And I just want to give a shout out to our donation for the Innocence Project, our first donation by Phantasm67. Thank you so much. Thank you. It makes me so happy. So thank you so much for donating to the Innocence Project.
I'll be back after your first guest, and I think once we do that, we'll be talking more about actual things that the Innocence Project are doing on the ground. So they're doing tons of really awesome, positive work, and I know we'll be highlighting some of those individual stories, because I think that's where you really get the connection, when you hear the actual individual stories and the people's lives that they're changing. It's amazing. And then you learn just the way the justice process is just not equitable for all people. I think it's really important to be able to name those 4 or 5 areas that really just need to change.
I will tell you, I cried a lot watching this show. I was crying all the time. I wish, I want people to watch this show. So I don't know, it's just different seeing actually the people, hearing from them, seeing their families, how they're affected by everything, instead of just kind of maybe just seeing a little headline or something, because a lot of people don't care. They just don't care. If it doesn't affect them, they don't freaking care. But maybe if they watch the show and actually see the people and hear that from them, it might touch them, hopefully. So I'm going to bring on my first guest. We've known each other for quite a long time. I think probably over 10 years we've known each other. We met in Arizona when I was living there a long time ago. But he's originally from California, but we met in Arizona. And then we were still friends when I moved to California. He's a producer, but he's also an activist, really smart guy, really passionate. The amazing Wilson Holmes. He keeps it real, okay? So if he wants the truth, Wilson is the dude. Hi, Wilson.
Well, hi, hey, how are you? How's it going?
Good. How are you? Thank you so much for
So,
joining me.
just fill me in real quick. Where exactly are you? What city are you in now?
I'm in Miami. Miami.
Miami. Ooh, it's kind of going down. It's going down in Miami right now. Did you know that?
It's going down, but the COVID case are going.
Yeah, that's what I mean by it's going down. It's going down in that part of the world right now for some reason. Did you know that, real quick before we get started, did you know that Regina King is filming a movie called One Night in Miami right now? She's directing her first movie that she's directing. And it's about when Cassius Clay, before he changed his name to Muhammad Ali, he won the world title by beating Sonny Liston. And because of segregation, he had to spend the night after he won in this segregated hotel in Miami. And the movie is about the guests. So he spent the night, get this, he spent the night celebrating his world championship win with Muhammad Ali, Sam Cooke, and Jim Brown. So the movie is about these 4 men in 65 or 60 something talking about what they were going to do as far as having those strategy sessions that you and I have had so many times about the movement and racial inequality and stuff. So I cannot wait for that movie to come out because I just want to see it. But yeah. It reminded me of Miami because you said that's where you were. But I got my Black Lives Matter festive shirt here, so I'm ready. What do you want to talk about?
Well, I want to know. I want to hear from you. I want to see what you have to say, how you've been feeling, what you've been doing, anything you want to say to anyone out there.
Well, I watched an episode, no, a few episodes of the Innocence Project on Netflix, and it's like it's overwhelming how crazy our justice system is. Very overwhelming how, and being from South LA and being alive at that time and seeing how the justice system in this part of the city that I live in was conducting itself, as far as just the way it was going after people for crimes. It's unbelievable how corrupt it was at the time, and how it just doesn't seem like it got any better since the 90s. It's insane. It's just, sometimes it's a bit overwhelming, I'm not gonna lie, just to see. But the Innocence Project, I think, it's crazy that organization had to be created to sort of like find justice for people and get people out of jail when they were wrongly accused or wrongly convicted. So, I mean, it's just unbelievable how the layers of the corruption, and how it's just like, you just don't really even, once they decide. There's one episode I watched about, I think his name was Francisco Carrillo, Frankie Carrillo.
Yeah.
Decided that he was the guy, then there was literally almost nothing he could do besides an act of God to get out. And it's incredible how corrupt our system is, and how the change that we're seeking now is so long overdue. It's so long overdue. But we got to keep fighting. We got to keep fighting. And thank you for your work, and spreading the message, and opening this up to your audience, because we got to keep fighting. There's I mean, obviously, yes, take a break, rest, take care of yourself, but the work is always there. If you can't find anything else to do, then there's some work in this area to be done. There's so much work to be done. So if you find yourself bored on a weekend, twiddling your thumbs, there's work to be done in advocating for people in this space. Yeah. So. Yeah,
no excuse. Especially if you're still in quarantine, pick up a book, listen to a podcast. Like, there's so much that you can learn about.
So much that you can be doing. Yeah. Listen to a podcast, read a book, listen to a book on audio. If you don't like reading, watch a lecture series, watch a documentary. Netflix has a whole bunch of like categorized Black story. I just also watched a documentary about the riots, about the 10 years that led up to the LA riots. It was just about the preceding 10 years, and it just talked about all of the different things that were happening. Yeah, from like 82 to 92. And it was incredible, because I was born in 82. So for the first 10 years of my life, it was just talking about all of the different injustices that happened. I forget what the name of the documentary is, but if you go on Netflix, you can find it. It was pretty good. Oh yeah. I'm sorry, I just keep talking. It's probably it could be my internet too.
Also, Netflix right now, they have like a Black Lives Matter collection too. Like, if you are having trouble finding like relevant films or shows, just look at the Black Lives Matter collection. They're trying to make it easy. So, like, there's not really an excuse now. Really, like, no, in my opinion, to just be ignorant. I feel like there's no excuse. Like, if you're ignorant, you're choosing to be ignorant. So that's my opinion.
Yeah.
I just want to give a shout out to Empoleon Fighter for his $5 donation to the Innocence Project. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mark, as far as what the title of the movie is it called Let It fall or let it, something like that.
I guess before I bring Kay, my co-host, back on, anything else maybe that you would like to say about just everything that's going on? I just kind of want to.
Well, I just wanted to say that, like, of course, obviously, thank you so much for having me. I think if the message that I would want to put out to everybody is that at the end of the day, as this moment moves and continues, there's so much work that you could be doing. Don't give up, whether you participate in a rally or a march, whatever it is that you think your preferred level of activism is, make sure that you're also including educating yourself about this moment, educating yourself about oppressed peoples, not only in America, but all over the world, but especially in America. And in this moment where people are asking you to educate yourself about African American oppressed peoples, but don't leave out, all of the other different experiences. You definitely want to educate yourself about all of what this history of this country really is. And if you feel like, I put this on Jenna Elf Instagram today. It's like, yes, your history books may have failed you, and the educational system may have failed you, but now you're an adult. So do your research. The responsibility is yours. Educate yourself and stay committed, recommit yourself to freedom, not only for African American people, but for people all over the world. So that's my message.
I feel like this is it's kind of backwards right now, but it's A People's History of the U.S. by Howard Zinn. I feel like this is a pretty good book. I read it 10 years ago, and it's pretty depressing, but I recommend that one.
But yeah, thank you so much. If this is my time, thank you so much.
Thank you. Also sending you a virtual hug.
All right.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you, Wilson. This boy, if you don't recognize him, not you, Kay, but like anyone who's watching, this is George Stinney Jr. He is the youngest, he was like the youngest person to ever be executed, and he was 14. He was innocent, and it's just really, really sad.
It's kind of crazy because I feel like a lot of stuff like this, we go like, wow, it was like, what, the 76th anniversary this year of his...
yes. Yeah. On the 16th of June, it was the 76th anniversary of his execution.
Right. And so he got the electric chair. They said that he murdered 2 young girls, even though there was no eyewitness testimony, no physical evidence linking him to the case. What I think is interesting in a direct line, because I think we like to do, especially when it comes to cases of race, we do a lot of like, oh, people were like that back then, right? But I think what's interesting is a study that came out in 2014 that found that Black boys are less innocent as white boys of the same age. Some research out of Washington. It says Black boys as young as 10 may not be viewed in the same light of childhood innocence as their white peers, but are instead more likely to be mistaken as older, be perceived as guilty, and face police violence if accused of crimes, according to a new search published by the APA, which is the American Psychological Association. And so what it found is, on average, Black boys are assumed to be 4.5 years older than their actual age. So when you see a boy that's 14 years old, white people assume then 18 and a half, which is like insane to me. So you're assuming a 13-year-old is 18 or 17 and a half, which is crazy. And they also found a specific link of dehumanization of Black children, and especially Black boys. And I think that we cannot forget. I think we think 76 years ago, but we can't forget that stuff happened today. It happens to a boy like Tamir Rice that was 12 years old and was shot by the police in less than 30 seconds when police arrived on the scene because he perceived as a threat, right? And Trayvon Martin, who's a young, teenage boy, 14, 15 years old, the same thing, just walking in his neighborhood and then is hunted down by a vigilante. It is really something that we need to interrogate as just citizens, and also we need to have law enforcement interrogate that view of Black children as not innocent and always older, and just robbing them of their childhood. Yeah.
He wasn't exonerated until like 70 years after he was executed, and it was just really sad because his like family couldn't even like be at the trial. They basically like ran their family out of town because they're like, we're gonna come lynch you. And I basically see it as just like they murdered him. The state of South Carolina murdered this 14-year-old boy, basically. I just don't even know how you could do that as a human, like any human being would be okay with that.
And I thought, well, interesting in the case, like when they went back and retried it, right? I mean, this is all like, I think that this is only an anomaly, not an anomaly. I think this is only noteworthy to most people because he was 14, right? Because he was so young. But we know in association to white women, especially being murdered, countless Black men murdered. Emmett Till, not even white women being murdered, but someone saying that he said something to a white lady, which later we found out that wasn't even true. So I think, I just think that it's 76 years ago, but we have got to be able to draw the line from there to now.
I feel like that is an example of, white privilege, and people don't like to admit that. Like, I mean, we saw people trying, like that, the lady in the park with the bird watcher, like, she just called the cops. Oh, this Black man is, I'm like, why did you have to say he was Black? Because you know what's going to happen to him, right? You're going to use your power. So don't tell me you didn't know about white privilege. Like, you know exactly what's... So...
That part, she knew exactly what she was doing. And the fact that we are decades past that being brought to light, and we know that, and we can see that there are some people that are using that to their advantage is insane. I don't know what happened to that lady. I heard they took her dog away, but then I heard she got her dog back.
Oh, poor dog. God.
She got her dog back. You take a white lady dog, girl. That's everything. No, I'm just kidding. In Georgia, I saw some stats. In Georgia, people are convicted. If a Black person is convicted of killing a white person, they have white victims, they are 17 times more likely to be executed than those who are convicted of killing Black victims. Isn't that wild? I love statistics for that reason.
Yeah. You can't argue with facts and statistics. Oh, hi, Kay's friend, Catherine. Terrell James Maple. Okay.
Yeah, I was just gonna say James Maple is an AfterBuzz host. We did an AfterBuzz show together.
Oh, okay.
Martin said we go to
people. Ooh, AfterBuzz. So yeah, I just wanted to have us remember George for a little bit, just because I actually feel bad that I just recently found out about this case. Like, I wish they didn't teach me about this in school. They didn't teach us a lot in school.
I recently myself. I think it's really powerful, Anais, that you have the picture printed. I really do. I think that's something.
Just his face, like, it just breaks my heart, Like, I don't know how you can, like, I'm gonna start crying. Okay.
Here's the thing that's crazy. And this happened, we both saw Just Mercy, and we did a live about Just Mercy a couple of weeks ago, which was the same thing, right? Somebody was murdered and they needed they needed to point the finger at someone really quickly. But what happens is you have a real murderer running around.
Exactly.
Like just what we found out in the first case on the Innocence files. They put two Black men up, but then come to find out it's this white guy that did it. The same thing with George George Stinney. Like, right, there's a guy that did a deathbed confession, and his dad knew that he did it really low key because it happened really close and on their land. His dad got himself on the jury, worked, had George Stinney Sr. working for him, fired him. So his dad just did this whole organization thing to cover up for his murderous son. Like, what? Child, it's too much.
Yeah, it is. It is too much, but it's something that needs to be talked about. So, you know, if you're gonna watch the Innocence file, just, you know, take it in a little bit at a time. Like me, I couldn't watch, like, I didn't binge the whole show. I had to watch like 1 or 2 episodes a day because I was like crying. So, just because it's hard doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. You know, growing pains. Okay. We need to learn about this stuff. So I'm gonna take another little break. I'm gonna bring on a little bit of entertainment right now, because I feel like laughter is good, and I'm going to bring on my hilarious friend Mark Gordon.
Hi.
Hi.
What's up, everybody?
Thanks
for putting this on.
Oh, no problem. I'm gonna let you perform. I'm gonna switch my camera, so I'll let you take the floor, and then I'll catch up with you after you're done. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you guys for coming into this is my favorite room to perform. This is so awesome that we're coming together for such a great charity. I've been going to so many protests, mainly because they're literally on my street. I live right in the heart of like West Hollywood Sunset Strip, and they're coming up and down my street. So I probably went to at least 12 to 15. And I keep posting so much about them that people think that I'm actually organizing the protests, and mainly because I'm super lazy. And I like the fact that people think that, because I wish I was able to do like a protest on demand and set it up everywhere. Mainly because I have a neighbor who's a total ass, and I would love to call a protest and block his car so he can't get out and go to work. That to me is fantastic. I was at one yesterday. It was awesome. It was outside the Laugh Factory. Like Tiffany Haddish was there, and we had like different DJs. And literally at the end of it, it turned into a dance party. And the reason why I love these is that everyone thinks that these protests are like violent and angry. Literally, people are doing like the wobble dance. So it's like, you're afraid of going where they're going to have the wobble dance, then you got some other issues brewing in your head there. That wasn't really as much of comedy as just stuff that's happening around me. The reason I'm mentioning protests, I want to get everyone to go out to protest, because the news is kind of slowing down the coverage, and we need to go out and show them all support that this is something that's not going away. And the more that they see this, especially you white people out there, you guys got to go out, because unfortunately that's what people see. That just really annoys Trump, and the mainstream, they can't figure it out. They don't know what to do. So white people, get your ass out there and protest. Jump in a wobble dance, okay?
Woo!
One of the fun things that I like to, also doing some comedy now, is I love looking on the Nextdoor app, because there's so many like crazy things on there. Yesterday I was going for a walk, and this popped up where a man 2 blocks away was wielding a knife, and I'm 2 blocks away from this guy going for my walk. So I'm a little bit scared, and then I see the next thing pop up on Nextdoor, where if you guys ever see Nextdoor, people just go and vet. And there was a woman, her name was like Robin, complaining about her boyfriend, and saying he was like a 2-time dirty dog who cheated on her during COVID. I forgot about the man with the knife. I'm so interested because there's no new TV shows. This was my new obsession. And I wanted to find more about that, because all the comments started coming in where her friends chimed in. And apparently this guy, David, cheated with her sister. And this was, to me, like the most amazing thing. Even if I got, like, I was hoping I wasn't going to get stabbed, because I wanted to find out the end of the story. It was absolutely, it was absolutely amazing. I love that app. So happy, I don't have any kids, and everyone before the pandemic said, you have to have kids, you have to have kids. As soon as the pandemic, everyone was like, oh my God, I can't believe I have to deal with these kids. And, before that, I thought, it would be great to have a kid, but now I'm thinking, that's just a lot of work dealing with small kids. I think I would like to just adopt a kid, but only when they're older, like around 15 to 16, and I want to be able to manage their career. Like, I want to get like an athlete or like a musician. And I kind of want to be like a Justin Bieber parent. Like, just kind of hang with them and have a good time and give them like a tour contract. I feel like that's the kind of parenting that I pretty much. Cigarettes during COVID, I don't understand. When I was at the protest yesterday, someone was smoking, which I don't get, because the one thing that'll kill you is droplets and bad lungs. So this person was like, you know what? Screw that. I'm going to take this disease, which can be stopped by a mask, and say, you know what? Let's now try to infect as many people as possible. Because there was like 3 or 4 people huddled around cigarettes. Like, to me, that would be so difficult to think that, like, this is the one thing that could kill me. And you're thinking, you know what? I don't care about that. What affects other people, I still need to relax. For me, I gave up smoking weed, but I do edibles. And because I wanted the fresh lungs. And I don't know if anybody else has done weed edibles before, but when I transitioned, I didn't know how to like dose it properly, which is always the number one mistake in edibles. Because you're like, I'll eat one. Yeah, I don't feel anything. You know what? I'm going to eat another one. 45 minutes later, you're like nothing until you get up. And then all of a sudden, gravity rears its ugly head. And I do what pretty much all stoners do. I go to the fridge, and I stare at the fridge thinking magically food will just appear. Even though I didn't bring any food in, I'll do it probably 2 or 3 times. Each time staring for a good 10 to 15 minutes. Unfortunately, no more food shows up. I'm going in therapy right now. I'm having relationship therapy, and me and Alexa, we're having some issues. Like, she's not really responding anymore, so we're going for like couples therapy, and it's definitely a challenge because she knows everything about me. She knows all my little dirty secrets. She knows what I've been ordering on Amazon, and man, that Alexa really is starting to like now. So, like, I'm like, Alexa, play a song, and she's like, no, I can't stand you. That's enough. Let me, I'll end, I know, on this one. I like Dr. Fauci. He's my favorite person, my favorite character during this pandemic. And let me try to do, can I do my Dr. Fauci impression?
Woo!
Yeah, okay, I'm talking to myself, so yeah, I'm going to say, yeah, I'm allowed to do it. Okay, here's Dr. Fauci kind of responding to Trump because now he's under attack. This is your boy, Dr. Fauci. Listen, you can listen to me or you can listen to Donald Trump. Me, I've been doing pandemic research for 50 years. Donald Trump is banging porn stars with no condoms, giving them 130,000. Donald, there's a site called Sugar Babies. Why are you spending your money on a porn star? Now, the simple thing is to wear a mask, people. That's it to say. You can look at me, I'm 80 years old. You can look at Donald, who's 75. If you look at him, he took his makeup on by standing in front of a fan and throwing bronzer up in the air and sticking it in his face. Do you really need to listen to that guy? I am Dr. Fauci. Listen to me. Save yourself. Thank you, guys.
Woo! Thank you so much, Mark.
Oh, okay.
How are you doing? I know.
You know what? I'm actually doing really good. Yesterday, like all these protests were really just like invigorating me because before this, during quarantine, I was just like didn't want to leave the house or go anywhere. And then once the protests started happening, it was just like an energy shot, and I couldn't help myself. And literally, they're literally up and down. Like last week or a couple days ago, we had the BLM / Pride Parade coming right down the 2 hours of marchers.
Oh, okay.
And it was like wild to see like so many people taking part. Because can I give you a little background about myself?
Yeah.
So, okay.
He's in LA, in case you didn't know. For anyone who doesn't know, he's in LA.
All right, perfect. So my background is like I kind of grew up in like white suburban land, and then when I went to college, I was like, I'm sick of being in that bubble. So I took like Latin American history, Afro American history, women in sociality, wealth, power, and equality, like every single thing that I could to get out of that bubble. So what I'm hoping is that more like I actually subbed a little bit too in schools, rich schools and schools that were underfunding schools, and no one would talk about these issues. They would do like Oregon Trail or make missions, and I'm like, yo, this stuff needs to be taught because if you learn about different cultures and different people early on, then you're not going to have this insensitive racial bias. It starts at a young age. You know, we live, it's sad, but we live in very segregated neighborhoods and segregated communities. And that needs to change. And we need to start, policing is so important for equality, but education and funding schools is something that really needs to change.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, education is super important. I think that's another thing that I really I feel like if our education was better, it would help so many issues. So
yeah, exactly. Anyway, how are you doing?
Okay. I wish I could participate in the LA protest. There's you guys are more active over there than here in Miami, but I'm still trying to stay safe with masks and social distancing and everything. But you guys have like a lot of really cool stuff going on. I'm like, oh, I wish I could be there.
You know what I learned? If you stand like there's where all the people are, I stand further away from like the main crowd, and then I feel a lot safer.
Oh yeah. When I have gone here, I do practice social distancing. I feel kind of bad sometimes when I do it because like I feel like I'm being a jerk when like someone looks nice, like they seem like a nice person, but I'm like this, and it's like no, it's not because like I hate you. It's just I'm just trying to be safe, and like I just don't want people to think I'm like being a jerk. It's like because like if they get too close, I might like avoid them, but it's like it's not because I hate you. It's because I'm just trying to be safe. So I kind of feel like a jerk sometimes when I'm social distancing, and then like I have the mask, and then I have sunglasses, so they can't even see like facial expression like that. I'm like, no, it's like I'm not doing it to be mean. I'm just trying to be safe. So yeah, I might get some people.
It's a fine line. I feel like you should have like a sign. I'm not being mean. I'm a little.
Yeah, I should write something on the mask like, sorry, I'm trying to keep distant, but like I don't hate you. I'm just trying to keep us both safe. I don't know.
I love how people have like pimped out masks now. Like that's the new fashion statement.
Yeah, I need to decorate mine. I just want to thank Aaron Palmer for his donation to the Innocence Project. Thank you so much.
Oh, awesome.
Anything else you would like to say before I get back with Kay, my co-host?
No, this was cool. This was just fun to just go out and talk to different people and meet new people. And I think what you're doing and the charity is fantastic. I didn't really know much. I didn't know anything about it until you sent that out. And then I started researching it. And I'm like, this is an awesome thing. I did an internship in the DA. So I think that something like this is, there has to be major criminal justice reform. And what you're doing is fantastic. And everybody who's participating, I'm so happy you guys are. And that's all. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much for taking the time. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
I'm going to bring my co-host Kay on, but after we're going to have our next performer, Aaron Palmer. So stay tuned for that. You're not going to want to miss it. Right now, I would like to talk a little bit about the first few cases from the Innocence files. Just, not take too long because, we don't have that much time. But Levon Brooks, Kennedy Brewer, Keith Harward, I think. But yeah, Kennedy and Levon were, oh my God, it was really stupid, okay? Like, it was so obvious. Okay, they were arrested because the cases were really similar. It was 2 3-year-olds, right? 2 3-year-old girls who were taken out of their homes and murdered, like raped and murdered, and they were thrown in like the creek. And I think it was like 2 months apart too. Mm-hmm. And I feel like any logical person would be like, those are very similar. Must be committed by the same person,
But, like, right? Because they had already sent.
Or maybe I think it was maybe like a year and a half apart. Maybe not. Yeah, they were not
already. He already went to trial, right? Like,
yeah, Levon Brooks. They because the sister of the first girl, the older sister, said it was him.
And by old, you mean, was she 5?
Yeah, I think she was 5, 6, and he was like her mom's boyfriend. But it's like, you're gonna just go off of a 5-year-old? Like, that's pretty much all they had. They had no evidence that's the thing. It's like, they will just like pick a dude and just have very like flimsy, like witness testimony is not always very reliable, especially a 5-year-old. Like, you need to get other people evidence to corroborate that. You can't just go off of like what a 5-year-old said, especially at night. I can confuse people at night, and you're just gonna go off of what I say. Like, I could be wrong. Like, it's dark. So that's pretty much all they kind of used to convict them.
No, and the bite mark evidence, that was it. And that was what was crazy. Is I have done reports about the Innocence Project and the Equal Justice Initiative, and they both say the same thing about this faulty forensic science. Hey, Alina, hold y'all. It's not. I'm saying, friends, it's not real science. So your bite mark analysis guy said bite mark isn't rocket scientist, and I was like, that's right, isn't rocket science. I was like, exactly, it's not no type of science, bro. That's the thing, it's no type of science. I actually, and we'll talk about this later, there is a bunch of faulty science. There's a bunch of faulty science that is admissible in courtrooms. And bite mark analysis is admissible in all 50 states still, even though it has been widely discredited. Also, hair analysis has been discredited, and it's still being used. And the numbers on that, I can't wait till we get to other, till we are talking about other things. But that scientific courtroom nonsense that you guys see on CSI that they're still trying to bring into the courtroom, it is not science. That's the mind.
So that's another reason why I feel like people need to watch this show, because before watching Innocence Files, I thought that was reliable evidence, and after this, I'm like, I'm gonna be skeptical next time, I was like, and then they had to contact the Innocence Project to help them with DNA, because actually, like, DNA is like way more reliable, and they were able to, I think it was Kennedy, one of them, the rape kit showed that, like, no DNA, like, it didn't match. I think it was Kennedy. He was clear, and then Levon, who was convicted first.
But even though Kennedy's rape kit didn't match, the semen didn't match. The guy said that didn't mean he didn't kill her just because the semen didn't match, which is insane. That prosecutor, let me look up his name. He eventually got voted off. But how long was he in? He was in for like 27 years or something crazy.
Yeah.
A long time for them to vote him out.
He was just like, you could just see in the video that he was just like he was just out to get them. Like,
he was.
Like, he wasn't after the truth. He was after them.
Did he remind you of the guy from Just Mercy. Remember that guy? That prosecutor.
Mm.
He's like, when you're a hammer, everything is a nail, and I felt like that was this guy, right? That was him to the percent. Like, he would not be deterred that he had found the right guy and this guy was guilty, no matter what kind of present evidence you could bring to the contrary. I mean, but that's what I liked about Dr. Adam Freeman, because he admitted at the end that he was wrong. He was like, listen, we have to move with science. When science updates and says that we did stuff wrong, like, we have to own up to that, and we got to move on. These people need to be exonerated.
Yeah.
$40.
Oh, I have to thank Mark for his donation. Thanks so much, Mark. But yeah, when they had the other girl, when she died, and the cases were so similar, I'm like, why didn't you go back and like revisit LeVon and be like, maybe we made a mistake. Like, they're very similar. How could he have committed? Like, you don't think there's something funny? And then they finally found the guy, and he had committed both of them. So I recorded. I got a screenshot of all the donations. $4 so far. Woo!